Keeping up with AI news, it feels almost impossible sometimes, doesn't it? Just the last few days have been packed.
It really has. Seems like every day there's something significant. Not just small tweaks either.
Exactly. We're seeing big moves and, well, AI security, new tools popping up, even some global stuff brewing.
Definitely. So let's try and cut through some of that noise.
Yeah, let's do a deep dive in the key things you probably need to know from the last few days.
Sounds good. Where should we start? Security seems like a good place.
Agreed. Okay, first up, Zenity. They announced an integration that caught my eye. They've linked the ChatGPT Enterprise Compliance API into their platform.
Right, and they're calling it the first and only end-to-end platform for securing AI agents. That's a pretty bold claim.
It is. What makes that end-to-end part so significant, do you think? Is it more than just marketing?
Well, I think it signifies a shift. Security often focuses on, say, just the development phase or maybe deployment. But this end-to-end idea suggests they're looking at the whole lifecycle development, deployment, and usage. It's about securing the AI agent wherever it operates.
So like from the moment it's coded to when it's actually interacting with users or data.
Exactly. It suggests the industry is maturing, realizing threats aren't just in one place. You need security baked in throughout, especially for enterprises relying heavily on something like ChatGPT Enterprise.
That makes sense. And thinking about real-world use, well, Sky also made some news, right, with healthcare tools.
Yeah, SkySense. These are AI-powered tools aimed at, well, optimizing how hospitals and clinics work.
Not just futuristic concepts, but practical stuff.
Seems like it. Things like streamlining operations, trying to reduce clinician burnout, which is a huge issue, and ultimately improve patient care. It's AI applied to the nuts and bolts.
Reducing burnout is interesting, so maybe automating some admin tasks?
That seems to be a key part, yeah. Freeing up doctors and nurses from some of the data entry or scheduling burdens so they can focus more on the actual patient interaction. Augmenting their work, basically.
Okay, but there's always a flip side, isn't there? Akamai's report, pretty sobering numbers.
Yeah, 311 billion web attacks just this year. That's staggering.
And they specifically called out a rise in API attacks linked to AI adoption.
Right, and it makes sense when you think about it. APIs are how these AI systems often talk to other software, how they get data, how they connect.
So they become a weak point.
They can be, yeah. If they're not secured properly, they're prime targets. So as AI use grows, attacking those connection points becomes more attractive. It really highlights the need for better AI-specific security.
Okay, switching gears a bit, let's talk about actually building AI. Recently got funding.
Yeah, $4 million. They're working on what they call data native code review for AI development.
Data native. What does that mean differently from regular code review?
Well, traditional code review might look at the logic, the syntax, make sure the code runs. Data native, as I understand it, looks specifically at how that code interacts with the data.
Oh, okay. Since AI is so data hungry.
Precisely. How does the code ingest, transform, and use those massive data sets? Are there vulnerabilities there? Inefficiencies? It's a layer of review tailored for the unique challenges of AI. Apparently, places like the Philadelphia Inquirer are using their open source stuff already.
Interesting. And then there's this concept of AI credits. Sounds useful for developers.
Yeah, basically vouchers, right? For free or cheaper access to cloud platforms and ML tools. ODSC East is partnering with some big names, Datasoar, Confluent, Azure, Databricks.
So how do these actually help someone building an AI?
Well, think about the costs. Data labeling with something like Datasoar, setting up real-time data pipelines with Confluent, just accessing compute power on Azure, or scaling up on Databricks, it all costs money.
Right, can get expensive fast.
So these credits, they lower that initial barrier. Let developers, researchers, startups maybe experiment more freely, train bigger models, scale things up without that immediate heavy financial hit. It could definitely spur innovation.
Makes sense. Now, another angle on data, the UK's Copyright Licensing Agency, they've launched a new license.
Yes, a pioneering collective license, they're calling it. The idea is to create a formal way for authors to get paid when their books, articles, whatever, are used to train generative AI models.
Ah, tackling that huge copyright debate head on. How does it work? Is it automatic?
It seems to be an opt-in system. So authors, via collecting societies like PLS and ALCS, would actively agree to let their work be used for training under this license, presumably in return for payment.
Opt-in. So creators have control.
That's the key difference compared to some other approaches. It gives them agency over whether their intellectual property is used in this way. It could be a really important step towards sorting out fair compensation.
But there's a darker side to AI generation, too. That Internet Watch Foundation report, pretty discouraging.
It's extremely. A 380% increase in illegal AI-generated imagery this year. And the big concern is the realism.
Especially the child sexual abuse material, the Category A stuff.
Exactly. The report says it's becoming significantly more realistic, making it harder to detect and obviously incredibly harmful. It's a stark reminder of the urgent need for ethical guardrails and robust detection tools.
Definitely a serious challenge.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the tech side. Google's Gemini 2.5 Flash model has a new feature, a thinking budget.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept. It basically lets developers put a limit on how much processing power or, thinking the AI uses to solve a problem.
Why would you want to limit it? Isn't more power better?
Not always.
Yeah.
Sometimes these incredibly powerful models can kind of overthink simple problems, using way more computational resources than necessary.
Like using a supercomputer to do basic arithmetic.
Sort of, yeah. So this thinking budget allows developers to tune that. For certain tasks, you might want a quick, efficient answer, not necessarily the absolute most complex, resource-intensive one. It's about efficiency, speed, and cost.
Got it. And Microsoft, they're expanding 365 Copilot quite a bit too, aren't they?
They are, adding new reasoning agents, image generation tools, even an AI-powered search specifically for your company's information.
So deeper integration into everyday work tools.
Absolutely. It's moving beyond just helping write emails. It's becoming more of an assistant that can reason, create, and find information within your work context, embedding AI much more deeply.
And not to be left out, Alibaba has this VCE AI model. What's the focus there?
Video. They're aiming for a universal tool for both generating and editing video content.
Universal. So handling different styles, tasks.
That seems to be the goal. It points towards advances in multimodal AI systems that understand and work with different types of data, like text, images, and video, seamlessly. Could be big for content creation.
And finally, on the tools front, NVIDIA's G-Assist, adding plugins.
Yeah, a plugin builder, so users can create their own custom AI automations for their PCs. Think controlling game settings, optimizing performance, maybe summarizing Discord chats, things like that.
So bringing AI control down to the individual user level.
Kind of democratizing it, yeah. Letting people tailor AI assistants for their specific needs on their own machine.
Okay, let's shift to the hardware that makes all this possible. TSMC announced a new process.
Yes, the A14 process. This is about the actual chip manufacturing. It's specifically targeted at AI and high-performance computing, HPC.
So faster, more powerful chips coming.
That's the plan. Smaller transistors, more efficiency, more power. It's the foundational hardware layer that enables these increasingly complex AI models to run effectively, crucial for progress.
And Lenovo's refreshing its storage gear with AI in mind, too.
Right. Faster storage is critical, especially for AI inference. That's the stage where the trained AI actually makes predictions or decisions. Slow storage can bottleneck the whole process.
So they have things like AI starter kits.
Yeah.
And liquid cooling.
Yeah, the starter kits are likely pre-configured setups to make deployment easier. And liquid cooling points to the sheer amount of heat these AI systems generate. Managing power and heat is becoming a major factor in AI infrastructure.
Now, things get a bit geopolitical here. This report from U.S. lawmakers about DeepSeek sounds serious.
It does. Bipartisan report accusing the Chinese AI company of data harvesting, potential espionage, even AI theft specifically, concerns about using U.S. models like OpenAI's, maybe without authorization.
And highlighting ties to the Chinese government. And using restricted chips.
All of that, yes. It touches on national security, economic competition, intellectual property, big concerns about how data is handled and whether proprietary tech is being illicitly acquired.
And NVIDIA's role is complex here, too, with the CEO visiting Beijing recently.
Right. NVIDIA's under scrutiny regarding chip sales to China. It's a really tangled web of technology, business, and international relations.
And adding to that, Huawei seems to be pushing ahead despite sanctions.
Apparently so. Reports suggest they're getting ready to mass ship their own advanced AI chips, the Ascend 910OC and 920.
So China building up its own domestic AI hardware capability.
That's what it looks like. A move towards self-reliance, which could definitely shift the global balance in AI hardware if they're successful.
Okay, one last area, ethics and regulation. Some pushback against OpenAI.
Yeah, a coalition is forming, apparently opposing its shift away from its original nonprofit mission, raises ongoing questions about the governance and ethical direction of these major AI labs.
And the EU hitting Apple and Meta with big fines.
Almost $800 million combined, yeah. Under the new Digital Markets Act, DMA, it's about digital competition rules,
And the White House wasn't happy.
reportedly reacted angrily. It highlights the potential for clashes between different regulatory approaches, especially US versus EU, when it comes to reining in big tech.
Interesting friction there. And a slightly quirkier one, being polite to AI, might cost millions.
Huh. Yeah, that research suggesting saying please and thank you to models like ChatGPT makes them use slightly more processing power. Over millions of queries, that adds up to real energy costs.
So we need energy-aware prompting.
Maybe. It's a funny thought, but it does link user habits directly to resource consumption in a surprising way.
And finally, Civet AI tightening its rules on deepfakes.
Seems so under pressure from payment processors like MasterCard and Visa. Shows how financial companies can also play a role in enforcing content policies around AI-generated content, especially the potentially harmful stuff.
Wow. Okay, so just recapping the last few days, advancements in security, lots happening in development tools and models, hardware moving fast but with geopolitical tension, and this evolving ethical and regulatory picture.
It's a lot, and it all interconnects, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The hardware enables the models raise ethical questions, security tries to keep up.
Absolutely. It's a snapshot, really, of an incredibly dynamic field. Each piece has wider implications.
Couldn't agree more.
And that really wraps up our quick dive for today. It's clear things are moving incredibly fast. So maybe something for you to think about. With AI weaving itself deeper into our lives, our work, even global politics, how do you personally see these kinds of rapid advancements shaping, well, everything in the near future? Where do you think the biggest impact will be felt first? Definitely something to keep pondering.
Thank you.